Good morning. My name is Lisa Avery, and I am the proud president of Linn-Benton Community College. I try not to stand next to anybody this tall for very long, so I'm going to keep it super brief. And thank you, Mayor, for being here and for moderating.
Well, good morning. I'm Mayor Alex Johnson II of the City of Albany, Oregon, and it's an honor to serve my community in that capacity. But today is not about me. It's about Senator Ron Wyden's 1090th town hall meeting. Let's give a big round of applause to Senator Ron Wyden's 1090th town hall.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. How many of you have never been to one of our town meetings? Lots of newcomers. This is part of the pledge that I made to Oregonians. We were choosing our first United States Senator in more than 30 years. I said, if I have the honor to be chosen, I'm going to throw open the doors of government. We're going to have an open to everybody town hall meeting in every county every year. Let's go get every ounce of mental health counseling that students are hoping to get for our kids this fall. This has been a priority of mine. It's very personal. My brother was schizophrenic. Let's get that. You called?
Yes, sir.
Go to it.
My name is Robert Orton. I'm a whistleblower for Coffin Butte Landfill.
What's your number, sir? Let me write it down.
I'm a whistleblower for Coffin Butte Landfill. I've given up the last 7 years of my life, my career, or excuse me, the last 7 months of my life, my career, my mental health, my well-being to expose what's going on at Coffin Butte Landfill, what Republic Services is doing to our community here. Mr. Berkeley has stepped up and embraced this matter and gone to on it. They're releasing explosive amounts of methane from that dump. They're dumping leche water out the back of that dump. The community pays more for clean water than that company pays to have their water treated with forever chemicals. I am wondering, sir, as we are your constituents here, as this is your state, what exactly are you going to do to address the issue at Coffin Butte Landfill and what Republic Services is doing to our community and our environment?
Great point, a great one to start with. I am with Senator Grassley of Ohio, the co-chair of the Whistleblower Caucus in the Senate.
Sir.
I'd like
Excuse me, Senator. Sir, you asked the question. Give the senator an opportunity to answer the question. Please take your seat and we'll answer your question.
And I will tell you, sir, yours is a good question. And all over the state, we're having problems with these questions of pollution of water systems. I was just in Prineville, for example, where I led the effort to improve the water sampling. So we will get on your matter right away. We've got staff people here, so if you would, what we like to do, anybody who comes with a particular account, and I consider these water matters very serious, number one. Number two, one of the best ways to get at them is by working with whistleblowers. I appreciate what you, sir, you're getting a win, so let me just finish this up. We'll start right now working with you and following it up, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I look forward to it. We'll start right now. Yes.
Senator Wyden, I listened to your interview yesterday on NPR calling for an investigation.
You're talking about the Clarence Thomas inquiry?
Yes, sir, I am. I believe that no one is above the law, and that's a foundational cornerstone of our democracy. I don't have a question for you, but I just wanted to say that I appreciate your leadership and view on this important issue, and I fully support you in your efforts.
Thank you. What we're talking about, you guys are like the Senate. I yield to my good friend who's going to buy me lunch or something.
Ms. 146?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Wyden, for doing your forums. We really appreciate that. Town halls and all. The question I have is, with the illegal aliens that are coming into this country, by the millions. The number varies by what you hear, 8 million to 10 million. And they're getting benefits of free transportation, free health. They're getting Medicaid. How is that going to affect this? They're stepping ahead of the veterans. And they don't deserve anything, in my opinion. They don't deserve to be here. They should be, deported. What do you feel about deporting them?
So I am a very strong supporter of legal immigration. Obviously, in a broken system, the question is, what are you going to do, or are you going to do nothing? Recently, a bipartisan group of senators, led by a very conservative Republican, James Inhofe of Oklahoma, perhaps the most conservative Republican in the Senate, put together a bipartisan reform package. A bipartisan package with many restrictions in the areas you just ticked off.
Am I not mistaken that that would have allowed up to 2 million people, illegal aliens in a year?
The debate about how many and the like was not wrapped up. But the big issues, this was supported by the very conservative people, the guards on the border, their union, who, by the way, is not real wild about Joe Biden. So there were people who felt very strongly about the numbers and the rules who supported the Inhofe Amendment. And that was a big deal in my mind because I wanted to be responsive to what people who weren't political and guards on the border were saying. By the way, I think at one point I said I said Inhofe, but I thought I said Langford. It is Langford. James Langford.
Okay, thank you, Senator.
The Tall Guys Caucus is well represented.
With all due respect to the president, I've just watched with growing alarm over the last couple of weeks as his mental acuity just increasingly becomes called into question. He seems to have a firm grasp of policy, which I'm glad to see. I think that bodes well for the rest of his term. But I have concerns going forward about the implications for democracy, 2025 and beyond. I know that one senator has already come forward and called for him to step aside. I just wonder what your bar is for the president going forward. I just have concerns.
Got it. I'm surprised that it took 4 or 5 questions. You might not want to clap if you don't like the answer. We decided, sir, almost 1,100 town meetings ago, I'm almost there, that we had to keep these official town meetings where we are using congressional staff, congressional employees, your employees, out of the debate about elections and who's going to get in and out and all the rest. I understand the enormous interest in exactly the topic you're talking about. You have every elected official, or certainly every member of Congress, tell you where they stand. And what I'm going to do, because this is my first of 4 meetings, is make you an offer that at the end of the meeting, on my way out, I'm happy to tell you what I think, and it is an extremely important issue. And I don't want anybody to think that there is some kind of plot or something to not say something. Quite the opposite. I'd be very interested in talking about it, hear your thoughts. I don't want to run the risk of setting a precedent for all the rest of the town meetings and then suddenly becomes like a party central committee meeting. Okay, great. Thank you for being here and your patience. He is so cute it ought to be illegal.
Well, that's getting dressed up in his Spider-Man costume, but my husband vetoed it out the door. He said, maybe no.
Okay.
All right, so the World War II era child care program. It was the first and only federally administrative childcare program for all families regardless of their income. So I believe childcare is an important piece of infrastructure for communities, for business owners, and for families to truly thrive. Here in Linn-Benton counties, I do know that we are missing about a little over 200 childcare spots for children, and it has actually just gotten worse. Last week, I was just notified that all of the after-school programming that happens at all of the Albany schools has actually been closed. So we're gonna have to figure out something for my 8-year-old. And it's also quite expensive. For example, my sweetheart here is about $1,200 a month, which is fair, you know. Tess? Okay. But childcare is needed for many working families. Do you know if there are any future plans to implement something like this World War II era childcare program? If not, would you support one?
Well, you couldn't be more timely with your raising this topic. Last week, on Wednesday, the Finance Committee had a full hearing on childcare to take stock of where we are, and in fact, Dr. Pratt, who's here in the Valley and specializes in childcare, was our witness. So one of your neighbors was there. Now, let's start with a couple of basics. If you're a Democrat in public life, you usually don't use the word supply-side economics. I am a supply-sider on childcare, folks. We need more supply. Period. End of discussion. We need to increase supply. That's what we were talking about in terms of where we go from here. One of the pieces of legislation I introduced would specifically go for a targeted effort to increase the pay of childcare workers. I think this is also part of a supply-side agenda, because if you're thinking about building more childcare facilities, you want to know, am I going to be able to get the workers? Because right now we got a big shortage. So I'm targeting right in with some supply-side economics, giving a break to getting more childcare workers. 1. 2, we have been able to get an expansion of the child care program to the states. And that's under the jurisdiction of the Finance Committee, where I'm the chair. I'd be happy to have you get involved with us. That's where we left the meeting. I think I can bring more value out of the child care program for the states where we have gotten expansion. That's where we're going with the increase in the salaries, and I did that specifically because advocates like yourself said, hey, we're never going anywhere if we don't get more workers who are qualified. And the system hasn't worked for them. They say, I'm going to make more at Target, I'm going to make more at Fred Meyer. I'm going to make, and we want to give them a chance to have a career. So we'll invite you to get involved with us, and those efforts really launched last Wednesday, less than a week ago. Great.
Hi, Peter Greenberg. 2 questions. One, if the first one doesn't count. Can you discuss the 2025 agenda from the Heritage Foundation?
We just turn back the clock in terms of core American values. I'm stunned that a group that calls themselves conservative wants to expand the state in the way they wish to and micromanage the federal bureaucracy to try to get a bunch of ideological trophies. And I think it is a very appropriate issue for citizens to be debating right now, and we'll leave it at that. But
this question, I'm going to speak on behalf of my 7-year-old who's too shy to speak, but we appreciate us, all 4 of us, getting tickets and the representation you're giving children. So thank you for that.
Your daughter asking her question, or you asking it?
I'm going to ask it.
Is officially not a scandal. Go ahead.
Okay. She noticed within the first 15 minutes, Mom, how come any women haven't asked questions? And so I said, why don't we ask how Senator Wyden is supporting women, especially women of color, non-binary folks, trans folks, especially in your line of work, yielding your power as a straight white male in your line of work so that women and other marginalized folks can have a voice.
Let me give you a few examples. There's a very good program called STEM in the schools: science, technology, engineering, and math. I've been one of the ringleaders to make sure that women are getting a lot of those opportunities. I also feel that one of the biggest issues of our time is women's health care. How old are you, sweetheart? 7. Well, my wife and I are older parents, but I have a daughter who's 11, a little bit older than you, and I always tell her, I want you, sweetheart, her name is Scarlett, about the same height as you, you're tall. I want you to be able to make your own decisions about what kind of health care you want, not the government.